Tonight we honor the winningest driver in Flat Rock history, Joy Fair, with the 7th annual Joy Fair Memorial 100 at the quarter mile. Welcome out to the Flat Rock Speedway. Tim Clagg alongside CJ Perry. And when every race schedule comes out, drivers always circle key events on their calendar. If drivers can win this race here today, their season just might be complete.
This can make a season, and this can make a career out.
See Steve Needles, 3.6 seconds behind the front two. There's a battle for the lead. Bergacker pushes Jimmy Thiel up the racetrack. New leader, Brian Bergacker, from 11th to the race lead.
I don't think there was a driver in the field that had a more up and down roller coaster type of night than the driver that finished in the 3rd position, Harold Fair Jr., involved in a spin very early. Did you think after that spin and that damage that you would be able to continue and come back to a 3rd place finish?
I didn't think I'd come back to a 3rd place finish. I knew we could continue. The car took a pretty hard knock there, about 25 into the...
Two postseason foes look to add to their historic rivalry tonight as a trip to Columbus is on the line as the Rogers Rams meet up with the Bellevue Lady Red. BCSN is brought to you in high definition by Dave White Chevrolet. The place to go on Alexis and Monroe, Dave White Chevrolet. Welcome out to Mansfield Senior High School alongside Jesse Furness. I'm Tim Clagg. While Rogers and Bellevue don't meet during the regular season, these two teams have met 4 out of the last 5 years in the state tournament, and Rogers has been victorious in all 4 meetings.
Terry Seneker, one of the favorites coming in here tonight, started on the pole and lost the lead and was just getting settled in a nice pace, and you made the trip down pit road. What was it that eventually put you guys behind the wall tonight?
Yeah, we had a great car. The motor was down, and I don't know, like we didn't have a whole lot of practice time earlier today. We didn't see any big effects like that. It seemed like up in the valve train. It dropped the cylinder, and then it seemed a little bit down, and it was kind of chugging under caution. We just didn't want to break the motor and have a real expensive night for us. So we just, cut our losses and pulled in, saved the motor, and it's tough to swallow because we really did have a good car.
Terry Seneker will have to wait one more year to try to pick up his 2nd win in the Glass City 200.
Now coming to the white flag, 1 lap remain for Brian Bergacker. Comfortable lead, 2nd lead differential over Jimmy Thiel from 11th to the race lead on lap 84. Brian Bergacker is the winner of the 2018 Joy Fair Memorial. What an impressive performance. You talked about how well he's done the last couple of years racing at the Flat Rock Speedway, and tonight's run solidifies it.
Not been a good night for the Jack family. About 10 laps before the yellow flag waved for halfway, Brent Jack radioed to his pit crew that he had lost oil pressure, came down pit road. His crew chief and the team looked underneath the hood, looked at the race car. The oil pressure went right back up, and then it just dropped again, and now you see Brent Jack out of the race, out talking to his crew chief and his son also, who is making a start here in the Glass City 200. So not a good night for the Jack family. Both of them are done for the evening.
Tonight we're in Fremont, Ohio at the Fremont Speedway, the track that Action built to kick off the 69th season of racing on BCSN's Monday Night The Races. BCSN brought to you in high definition by Dave White Chevrolet. The place to go on Alexis and Monroe, Dave White Chevrolet. Welcome out to the Fremont Speedway alongside CJ Perry. I'm Tim Clagg. Thank you so much for joining us. After snow, rain, flooding earlier in the week, Mother Nature's finally smiling down upon us. White flag in the air one more time around for Craig Mintz. Side by side for the 2nd position. That's the best friend right now for Craig Mintz, the 2-time track champion, the part-timer, able to fend off all challengers to claim an opening night victory in the 410 division at the track that Action built. Last year, the 2 dominant drivers were Steve Needles and Brian Bergacker, and go figure, they qualified 1 and 2, but last year they got caught up in a wreck with each other midway through the race.
They tangled up late in the race, basically handed the lead back to Justin Schroeder. Schroeder then took advantage, and that was a fantastic finish, even with Schroeder racing Harold Fair towards the end. So there was no shortage. There never is any shortage of action here at Flat Rock during the Joy Fair Memorial.
Schroeder became the first 2-time winner of the Joy Fair Memorial 100, and also the temperature. They've only had 2 races so far this season at Flat Rock in cooler conditions. Today, we've already had rain. The track completely washed away. How was your squad able to hold Casey Santoro to 6 points? She averages 21 on the year.
Well, They stepped up. Lauren, Zai, everybody did their job.
Coach, congratulations. You guys are heading back to Columbus next Friday night. Go celebrate with your team.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The Rogers Lady Rams are moving back to Columbus, knocking off Bellevue 60-45. We'll come back to Mansfield Senior and put a period on this one.
Very dominating performance tonight in the Glass City 200 by our winner, Tyler Rohrig. And Tyler, you really had to earn this one, though. Those final 10 laps, lap cars in front of you, your dad catching up behind you, those probably had to be the most nervous laps in your career.
Yeah, I was getting pretty nervous the last 10 laps, and I knew my dad was catching me, and, you know, he's really good here. And it got to a point where he really wasn't catching me much anymore. So, like, the last 3 or 4 laps, I was just trying to, you know, be smooth, and my spotter was keeping me updated the entire time. So it was a little tense for a minute, but towards the end it worked out, I guess.
We talked with you halfway and the changes that you guys were making, and you weren't very happy in the race. Were they better that last 100 laps?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe we were dealing with the track changing slightly, and you know, a lot of oil drying, oil on the track, and, you know, water seeping from the rain today. But it was a little better in some areas and maybe a little worse in others, but overall I think it was better at the end.
Chatting with your dad, he said the goal was to come in here for you guys to finish 1-2. Well, you guys did that and are the first father-son duo in Glass City 200 history to finish 1-2. What does that mean?
Oh, that's huge to me, because, you know, like I said, I've never been, like, really good on the bigger tracks, but you know, my dad, he's taught me, you know, pretty much everything I know.
Tonight, the Whitmer Panthers look to continue their dream season and take another step closer toward playing in Canton, but the Maize and Blue will have a difficult test ahead of them as the Olentangy Braves hope for a repeat performance of the 2015 playoffs where they ended the Whitmer Panthers season. BCSN brought to you in high definition by Dave White Chevrolet, the place to go on Alexis Salmon Road, Dave White Chevrolet. Welcome out to Tiffin, Ohio. Tim Clagg alongside John Gibson. Picture-perfect conditions, snowing, 28 degrees. How do you prepare yourself? This is the first time all season long both these teams have been in these conditions.
You don't prepare yourself. You recognize what's at stake. This is week 12. It's win or go home. That should be enough fuel to keep your soul burning for the rest of the night.
Both these teams were in tight battles last week. Thrillers in their first playoff game. Whitmer, a game-winning field goal as time expired to pick up the playoff win.
No time at all to enjoy that victory. Saturday morning, they were in there watching film, getting ready for this Olentangy team. They don't have time to rest on their laurels. They've got games to win.
And the defense came up big once again, creating 4 turnovers, a fumble recovered by Sam Stickles for a touchdown.
That's a championship effort. That's the way that your defense has to play if you want to advance in the jungle of the playoffs. The defense has another tough test in front of them. They've got to do the exact same thing.
Olentangy was held scoreless in the first half of their first round game against Dublin Coffman. They scored all 28 points in the second half. 4 touchdown passes through the air. This is a very explosive offense.
They score points in bunches. You have got to put some pressure on Riley Bruning, their senior quarterback. He's a guy that will hurt you if you let him stand in that pocket. The defensive line has got their work cut out for him.
It's the Riley and Riley show. Riley Keller, the sophomore sensation from Whitmer, 22 passing touchdowns through the air this season, almost 2,000 yards from. He is the leader of this offense.
We forget that Riley Keller's only 15. I call him textbook because he does everything right. He's got to be on point tonight. He's got to get a 90 or better because this is going to be an Olentangy team that's going to come after him.
Riley Bruning leading the offense for Olentangy. Last week, 4 touchdowns, all in the second half. He had 227 yards. 190 of those came in the second half.
When your big players make big plays in big times in the game, Riley Bruning's been here before. He's a senior. He knows what's at stake. He's going to be primed to make a play when the plays need to be made.
It's a playoff rematch from 2015. The Whitmer Panthers trying to avenge a 24-21 defeat. It's coming up next right here on BCSN.